Mic check, mic check. All right, we're locked in. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in. For those of you that are new, my name is Drew, and today we're going to be talking about the screen time crisis. I'm sure most of you who live in America or maybe even other parts of the world, I've definitely seen it like in other countries too, like Mexico. But what I've seen is a lot of kids, from the ages of 2 to maybe all the way to high school, a lot of them are spending a lot of time scrolling up and down, just looking at the phone, glued to the phone, and kind of just hypnotized all day. And I see this becoming more commonplace. Even grandparents, people that just barely got the technology a couple years ago, they're doing this too. And I myself, I'm a little addicted to my phone too. I'm not going to lie. Don't ask me what my screen time is. But today we're going to be looking at some videos I saw online, and we're going to be talking about, just reflecting on how screen time is actually affecting us and how it's affecting us younger generations, I'm sure most of you have a little brother, a little sister, a cousin, a niece, somebody young in your life. And if you don't, maybe you got some friends, or maybe you've seen some kids out there. Maybe you've seen this in the wild. You're at a restaurant and you see a family all on their phones. Mom, dad, sister, brother, uncle, aunt, everybody. Or maybe I've seen even people just walking down the street staring at the phone, which is hella dangerous. But anyways, it seems like more and more kids these days are getting more access to phones. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was young, I really didn't have access to technology. I think I grew up in the time where the computer and the internet came out like around middle school, elementary school, and then in high school, that's when people were more or less getting into phones. I got my first phone around 12 years old, and it was just a flip phone. It wasn't like an iPhone like we have now. It was just a basic flip phone. You got to type 3 times to press one letter. But anyways, we're going to look at this first clip right here. This is a video I found on TikTok of a mom who's super excited. She's stoked. She's super excited for her daughter to get a phone. She mentions that she originally planned to get her a phone when she turned 9. But in this clip, she's 7. And so let's see what their experience is like.
Turned 9, and then it went down to 7, and then it went down to today, a random motherfucking Saturday. She got a pink iPhone 15, and of course we had to go and get her a case, and she was set on the case that she wanted and the pop socket that she wanted for her phone. She came right home and showed her best friend Pinky her new phone. Slay. Honestly, the main reason I got her a phone now is because I'm tired of dragging the heavy ass iPad all around.
I'm going to pause it right here. As you can see, a lot of crazy shit has happened. And to the naked eye, this must just look like, normal mom loves her kid, is super excited about, this big moment in their life. But to me, it kind of looks like this kid already had technology. I mean, she's got the iPad right there. And the mom even says it, like, she's just tired of carrying that big-ass iPad. So on a motherfucking Saturday, they went to get this phone, which is pretty cool. I don't think... us Mexican people, oh, by the way, I'm Mexican American, but I don't think us Latino families, we're not like this stoked to get our kids phones on the first time, unless you got a lot of money, but that's another story. Anyways, so this girl, she's 7 years old. She's already had an iPad for God knows how long, but now she's getting an iPhone. And the thing about this is, like, there's so much that's on the internet that is unmoderated. I myself work with students, and I'm going to tell you a quick little story. So I work in the schools. I'm an educator. I'm a behavior specialist. I've been doing this for about 7 years, but I've been working in the schools going on 3 years. And during one of my years of working, it was brought up to my attention that a student was sending messages to a person on LinkedIn. And while it might be, it's not a MySpace or Facebook or anything like that, it is still a public website, and you never know who's on what website. So there's a lot of potential danger. Luckily, it was chill. The girl didn't. She was special needs, and she didn't really, have any kind of inappropriate conversations with anybody. So that's good. But it just goes to show you, like, what's out there, what's potentially dangerous. Let's see what else happens here. I think that's it, though.
Connecting it to my hotspot. And I had to set it all up for her. There's honestly no greater feeling than unboxing a new phone.
That is a good
you already
feeling.
know. She had to set up her Memoji. I added her to my family group chat, and she's been sending GIFs or GIFs, whatever the fuck you call them, all after.
Wow, she's on the group chat, dude. I don't think we started a group chat in my family until like a couple years ago. Maybe like 20, I think I was 24. I'm 29 now, about to be 30 in July.
When I come back in my next lifetime, I just want to be Giada, okay? Because my first phone was a hot pink Razr. What?
Oh, yeah. See, her mom, same thing. She said her first phone was a hot pink Razr. And back in my day, you know, that was the hot shit. That was the hottest phone that you could possibly want, right? At first, the flip phone. It was a Razr. They had the coolest commercials. I remember my uncle had one. It was silver. And he could put ringtones on it. It was so awesome. It was new technology, so anything that was new was interesting. And then after that, I remember you had the sidekicks and all that shit. That was also a whole nother thing. But anyways, the Blackberries. That's the end of that clip. So let's move on to this next one.
Happy Saturday. I can already see
Keep them.
Let me set this one up. So in this clip, we got Dr. Daniel Amen. He's a psychiatrist and brain disorder specialist. He's got a bunch of clinics, and he even has his own university. He's wrote a bunch of books, to say the least. And what he says in this clip is to keep your kids away from the screen as long as possible. So let's see why he says that.
Away from any screens. You should do it for as long as humanly possible, because those steal their attention. And yes, it gives you a break. At what cost? What about the cost of increasing their risk of depression?
All right, before we get into like the depression and anxiety, he said something really important just now about stealing attention. And working in schools, you know, I see this a lot where kids really, especially the younger kids, you know, they're kind of all over the place. You know, they're just learning, so they're developing minds, but at the same time, a lot of them, like, they focus their attention on videos, and they're constantly jumping around from place to place. You know, you could show them a video, but if they're bored, they're going to move on. You could do one activity, but if they're bored, they're going to move on. And I even read somewhere that I think our average attention span in humans is like decreasing less than that of a goldfish. I'm going to put a screenshot of that here, and then you can look at it, and I'll link the article down below. But it's just interesting to see how this guy who, you know, has been pretty much committed his whole life to mental health disorders and brain disorders, that he's trying to warn everybody, like, keep your kids away from the phone as long as possible because of attention. And then he's going to talk about depression. Let's see what else he says.
Because the screens were purposefully created to elicit dopamine responses in their brain. It hooks them. This technology has been unleashed on our population, and all the neuroscience research is bad. None of it says, oh, this is a good thing, right? Even things like Baby Einstein are not great for kids. The American Academy of Pediatrics came out and said no screens before 3.
No screens before 3. So I myself, I got a daughter. She's almost 2. And between me and my family, we were really like hesitant and reluctant to give her screen time access. But as she started to grow and it was becoming more difficult to like brush her hair, get her hair done, we started, you know, giving her a little bit of access to screen time, and we try to manage it. But anyways, I say that to bring up this point. It's like this guy, he's saying to this professional medical doctor, you know, brain expert, he's saying to keep your kids from the screen as long as possible. But in 2024, you know, how realistic is that? Is that even possible? I don't know. I think maybe if you set some boundaries and like took away people's access to phones during certain periods of time, like let's say you have a household and you say, all right, no phones, nobody uses phones from 3 to 8. Maybe it could work, but to completely eliminate people's access to screens, I think that's an impossible task in today's world. But let me know what you think. You think it's impossible? For those of you that have kids, let me know how you deal with this in the comments below. Let's move on to the next clip. So this guy, he's going to talk about kids' attention spans and how this is an example of CoComelon and how fast they cut scenes and stuff. And he's going to explain why that's bad. Let's take a look.
Each scene is before it changes. Bear in mind, anything less than 4 seconds is too fast. Visually speaking, this is a tactic you see a lot of. 3D art is eye-catching because it's representative of real life, but animators go one step further by pairing it with bold and bright colors. This exploits our human instincts because in nature, when something looks like that, either it's highly attractive like fruit or flowers, or it's a threat like something poisonous.
Cool, I'm going to stop it there. It's kind of a long clip. But he's basically just keeping track of how often the scene changes in the cartoon. And if you look right there in the top left, it's changing about every 2 seconds, you know? And what he's saying is right. Like fruit in nature, it's all bright and colorful. And I didn't think about that until he said it, but it's also true. Things that are dangerous could also be bright and colorful. Like, I don't know. Somebody give me an example of something dangerous that's bright and colorful. I was going to say like a cheetah. But anyways, this is the type of programming, conditioning that our kids are getting exposed to. So I know a lot of people have already kind of decided CoComelon is like the most unhealthy choice for screen time. But a lot of people are still watching it and putting it on as kind of background noise. And the colors, now that I look at them, they kind of bug me and they give me a little headache. I don't know about you guys. Do you guys get a headache from looking at that cartoon? All right. This next clip is a award-winning animated short film, and it just kind of paints a visual image of what it's like to be addicted to your phone. It kind of really puts it in your face. Like instead of telling you, they're going to show you. So let's take a look at it. He's getting a glimpse of the real world. And then the phone just brings him back in. So I kind of want to talk about what we saw earlier where the doctor was saying how a lot of dopamine gets released when we use technology. And this is one way that it gets released in our brain. For those of you that don't know, dopamine is a chemical that basically makes your body feel good, your brain feel good. It's kind of like a runner's high, or for those of you that have done drugs, it's that same kind of high. But this is how our phones kind of keep us in that dopamine behavior loop. Sometimes people get addicted to the likes. Sometimes even just scrolling through the phone is enough to, you know, it's that same kind of intermittent reinforcement that behavior specialists will say. It's like the same thing as gambling. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you get something you like, sometimes you don't really get something that you like a lot. And when you do get something you like a lot, as you're scrolling, that dopamine is getting released and you're taking a big hit. Oh yeah, you're taking a big hit of dopamine, and then you get addicted and you want more and more and more. And so that's why you keep scrolling, even though you're not always getting what you want, maybe. So it's the same kind of thing. It's like they're keeping us coming back. It's a great film. It's really short. I'm going to post the link so you can watch the rest. It's kind of a cool ending. I don't know. Maybe you like it. Maybe you don't. But I'm going to set up the next clip. This one is a clip about, it's more of an anecdotal story of a family I saw on TikTok. And they took some videos of their kids without the screen and how their behaviors were. And then they took some videos once they're exposed to the screens. And they're going to show us what that looks like. So you can see the little kid, I think it's a girl. The little girl is like playing with the other little boy or girl. Social. She's mimicking. And then when she's watching TV, look at the bright colors. Go back a little bit.
Feeling of urgency.
But you can see like the same kind of setup, the bright colors, quick changes, and she's completely hypnotized. So this is what they're talking about. Is like when you expose your kids to CoComelon or all those other different types of shows that use the same kind of formula, it could be affecting them pretty bad, making them addicts to that dopamine hit. Woo! But let's set up this next clip. This guy, he's going to explain a little bit more of what is happening as well as a dopamine. So this is like whenever you take away a phone, you might get a tantrum behavior. And like we talked about in the first video, for those that are returning, that kid, that 6'6" high schooler who pretty much beat up his teacher, who must have been like 5'8" or shorter. Hopefully not, but we'll see. We don't know. Like that kid, he was so addicted to that dopamine hit from the Nintendo DS that he literally attacked someone. And the reason is going to be explained by this guy. So let's watch what he says.
Going to die, etc. In addiction, it's likely that the brain then is tricked. And whereas we really will die if we don't eat, in addiction, the person's brain is resculpted so that they believe that they'll die
There
if
you
they
go.
don't.
And this
get
guy, I
their
think he was a
fix.
doctor. I didn't do my research on this guy too much, but like he was saying, they're releasing their flight or fight response in their brain chemically when they're missing out on their hit. And so they'll literally be thinking and feeling like, I need to survive. Imagine that. Like someone takes away your phone and your body is automatically on this response where they literally feel like they will die if they do not get this phone back. That's the kind of response that kids are being primed into, conditioned into, to kind of, be attacking people when they take away their phone. Cool. Let's look at this next clip. I thought this was rich. This guy, he posted a video on how to spot a lazy parent, and he's basically saying, like, everyone who gives their kids a phone is a lazy parent. And it's not always, parents' faults. I saw in the comments,
cell phone. She doesn't have a tablet. She's not allowed on it. Everybody's like, oh, they're not going to learn how to work on that stuff.
Sorry,
Guess
I'm gonna
what?
go back
None
a
of
little
you
bit.
guys.
Families.
So I like this comment here. This lady or a person's ghost, they say, how to send this to my mom without getting cursed out. I'm talking about grandma. Yeah, sometimes people in our own families are the ones, reinforcing these negative behaviors with the kids, giving them all kinds of access to screen time, not really setting limits to how they can watch it or where or how much. And so it's not always the parents' faults, and we can do everything we can to prevent it. But like I mentioned in the last video too, environment sometimes affects our behaviors. So this last clip, I'm just going to close it out with this one. This chick is a doctor. Her name is Dr. Taylor Day. And she's going to give us some strategies and ideas to kind of deal with screen time and how to manage.
Reward system that allows them to earn access to screen time. Ultimately, you can come up with a list of things, and when they complete those list of things, they get some sort of token or check mark or sticker. Then they can cash in those tokens, check mark, stickers for a certain amount of time on the tablet or the iPad. Ultimately, screen
Kind of jumped
time
off at the end, cut off. But yeah, everything she was saying was totally something that a behavior specialist like myself and any other kind of child care professional would probably use and suggest, is a token system. So basically you set up like a criteria. So if you make 10 shots or if you get 10 stickers, then you can watch screen time for 10 minutes, something like that. And token systems are pretty effective because kids are able to cash in those tokens for one thing or another. So maybe you could use screen time and some other options like playing with a toy or going somewhere and just giving the kids options. Anyways, I just wanted to wrap it up there. I know it seems like it's going to a negative place very fast, but I think as long as more and more people get aware of this issue, not becoming so quick to give kids a screen and telling everyone, in the community, hey, if you're watching them or if you're with them, make sure they don't get the screen for this amount of time. I think we'll be all right. Leave a comment down below. Again, if you're new here, subscribe and let me know what you want me to talk about next. I'll see you in the next one.